Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name is Ray, the Market Trader, and before we get started, let's go ahead and review our risk disclosure. Just want to remind everyone that the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice. An offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any future security, company, or fund. We all understand that the use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk, not for every investor. Investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or Forex, and past performance is not indicative of future results. All right, so now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure here, guys, we're just going to go ahead and turn our attention over to the news portal, and we're going to, kind of take a look and see what do we have in the way of news that has the potential of impacting the markets. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and turn our attention now to the news and see just that. Let's take a look. All right, so here we are. We have, let's see, just lost my, just going to confirm everybody can see this. All right. Okay, so we have a couple of items. All right, outside of the events over the weekend, we have at 9:45 this morning, we have U.S. S&P manufacturing PMI. At 10 a.m. Eastern, we have the U.S. ISM manufacturing PMI as okay. So two reports coming out between that period. And looking ahead into the week, we have let's see, Wednesday we have ADP employment, we have S&P services PMI, S&P composite PMI, and then U.S. ISM services PMI coming in on Wednesday. Okay. And then Thursday, we have the jobless claims, continued jobless claims. And then ultimately, we close the week with our report on unemployment, non-farm payroll, retail sales. Yeah, so I would say relatively normal, although this is not, obviously, we're not necessarily in normal times given all the unrest that we have globally. All right, but as far as financial news, nothing out of the ordinary that we have in any normal week here. Okay, so let's go ahead now and turn our attention over to the platform here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look here at. I'm going to start off. Let's go ahead and start off by displaying the platform, and then we'll start off with the gold market here, and then we'll continue from there. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, so taking a look at the gold here. Just gonna pause here for a moment, make sure that everybody's able to see this. I'm gonna remove this for now, collapse this for now, and just kind of zoom in on these daily candles. Now, if you have not already seen, would encourage you to watch the weekly review. Did post that yesterday to give you kind of a more of a higher time frame understanding or context of the markets. And that video is available now on the portal. So I'll encourage you to watch that. And we're just going to go ahead and focus our attention on the daily, 4-hour, and the 30-minute chart. Okay, so taking a look here at the daily. All right, looking at the daily and trying to understand exactly what kind of market we've kind of inherited here. Okay, so we had a gap open here. Okay, given again the events over the weekend that has caused the market to pay a premium to be part of I guess to have put in some interest here in the gold market, right? So we gapped. See, we have a close here of 5247.9, and we opened the market at 5360, 13 point gap in this area here. So indicating that obviously there's a fair amount of interest in the gold market, right? We got the gap open. So a fair amount of folks are willing to pay a premium to be part of this market here on the daily. Looking at from a market structure perspective, you can see that up until that point, we were kind of, somewhat grinding up to the upside. I'm going to go ahead and draw my little parallel lines here. And you can see with that price, we've gapped above this channel to the upside. Okay. So indicating that there's a good amount of interest here in this upside move. Now we do have some obviously areas that could cause price to stall around the 5,600 level. That continues to be an area and has been an area since the drop that we got at the end of January. February was relatively a good month, I would say, for the gold. We kind of continue to grind higher. Not to the same degree as we had been accelerating, and obviously probably was very much unsustainable to continue to expect the market to continue parabolic in this way. So we were overdue for a correction. We received it, okay, and found some more buyers here in this market, okay. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, there you see our gap above this channel that I've drawn here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the visible range volume profile, and you can see that we're above the value range. Okay, above the value range. We'll go ahead and remove the channel here for a moment. Probably bring it back once we get into the 30-minute chart. But looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see that we're in this kind of out of value or above value kind of area. Okay, so this 5280, looking at this from a value perspective, okay. This 5280 does seem to be an area that could offer us a location, right, to support further bullish trades, right, on the 4-hour chart. Okay, 52.8 is it 52.80? Yeah, actually more like 52. Yeah, 52.86, 52.85, somewhere in that range. Okay, would offer us a location maybe for continuation move in this market on the chart on the 4-hour chart. Taking a look at the DMI, you can see that the DMI, given the open, has kind of accelerated a bit to the upside. We see that momentum is also in line with the general direction of the move. Okay, seeing a little bit of loss of momentum, but we still have a reading of above 40 on the positive DI, and we also around that above 40 level for the ADX as well. Okay, so seeing a nice little gap between these the DX and the negative DX and volume seems for now aligned with the general direction here of the market. Okay, moving into the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, we're gonna compare and take a look here and see where price is in relation to Friday's price action. Well, again, the gap has obviously caused us to get above. But overnight, okay, was a little bit on the way of range. Okay, besides the open, besides the rally that we got in Asia, looks like it appears to me that London was pretty much range bound. Okay, so go ahead and open this up here. So there's Asia. Asia actually took a peek below, kind of made an attempt to fill this gap here, right? Fill this gap that was created by the open. Found some more buyers, and we rallied for the most part the entire Asia market. We got into London. Oops. we got into London, and we moved into some sort of range. Okay, moved into some sort of range in London and have been in range inside initial balance ever since the open of London. Okay, so a little bit of mixed bag, right? Asia, I guess, fair number of buyers came into the market, and but no new buying, at least not enough buying to drive price any further above. We got to a high of looks like what, 54.32. Okay, and now we are developing a little bit in the way of a bearish candle here. So 54.30. Okay, 54.32 does appear to be maybe an area of some maybe temporary resistance here, right? We had a nice little candle here that a nice bearish candle that led to a further exploration to the downside. But you can see here that a lot of indecision as to the direction at this point, right? We have wicks on both ends of these candles, and now we visited this area again and found again some more sellers. Okay, so I would say that 52.30, 52.32 does appear to be a kind of resistance zone in this market. We are, I would say, a little bit extended to the upside in this market. We are hugging the 9 EMA. I would say that this level down below here, VWAP at 53.87, would be kind of a nice location if we are, continuing. And also, it also serves not only as a 52.87, 85, does not only serve, we have a little bit of a confluence here, right? We have VWAP as well as the high end of value. That could provide us, again, a logical location to manage our risk and participate in a continuation move in this market. Okay, but we are seeing a little bit of slowdown, especially in London on the upside move here. And we'll take a look here at the developing initial balance range for the U.S. session, and looks like it's developing a rather narrow. Rather narrow. Okay. Right now we have a developing bearish candle here, rather narrow range. So do we come back and revisit and this area? We've already come down to this level once, rejected value, but we have not been able to make a new high. Okay, so I would say again, I'll probably go with a more of a bullish view on this. Okay. With the understanding that I need to wait for some level below that would offer me a logical location to participate in this market. Okay, so I've already kind of identified this 53.80 as one such level. Another level would be this 53. Let's call it 53.60. That would be another logical location to potentially participate in an upside market. Until then, it feels like that we are looking to maybe remain somewhat range bound in this market. I'm seeing rejection on both sides of the candle. So there is obviously no interest necessarily to take either market in one direction or the other. Somewhat balanced here. So we're going to go with a bullish to neutral rating at the moment. We do have a fair number of buyers in this market. Have been kind of ranging ever since the open of London. So we'll have to see over the course of the New York session whether we get any aggressive buying, okay, to come in, or selling to come into this market. Okay, so let's go ahead now and take a look at the silver market. Let's go ahead and open this up here, make sure we get a full screen here, and we'll go ahead and open up the silver. And again, we'll take a look at the daily chart. Silver looking a little bit more bearish. I guess we are developing a little bit more in the way of a bearish candle here. Did not get that same gap that we got in gold, right? Notice that our open was higher, but we ended up filling that gap, and now we're trading at or around the price that we closed at on Friday. Okay. Looking at the DMI, we're seeing that there's a fair amount of interest here to the upside. We got readings of positive 30 on both the ADX and the positive DI, indicating that there is still a fair amount of momentum in this market to the upside. Looking at the volume delta is really not giving me all that great of a reading here at this point. kind of a little bit on the bullish side, but not only to a small degree. So for about 350 to 400 more buy orders than sell orders here at this moment in time. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart on the silver, looking at the this is not go back. Looking at the 4-hour chart, let's see, just this way. Okay, looking at the 4-hour chart again, you can see that our positive has kind of passed or gone above our negative DI, indicating that there is some interest here in the bullish side. But we are starting to see maybe a little bit in the way of, I guess, a little bit of selling pressure that has grown here of late on the 4-hour chart. Okay, you can see that we've actually left a little bit of a supply area here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and mark this area here, right about here. Okay, we've left a little bit of a resistance zone up above. We have not been able to make a new high of late here. Okay, we retested that zone, and now we've come down to the 9 EMA. Price is closed below our VWAP on the 4-hour chart, and we've come up into an area of value. So this would be a logical location to potentially see market potentially, if we are indeed bullish, the confluence of the 9 EMA as well as the high end of value that's been created here on the right hand side of the volume profile here, right? The visible range volume profile. We're at an area where we would expect price to potentially move away from. Now, if we do manage to close below, okay, close below, then that opens up the opportunity for price to potentially, come back and revisit the settlement, not from Friday, but from Thursday, and that also is the point of control of this visible range volume profile here. So seeing a little bit of maybe a little bit more, I would say, range price action in range to maybe a slightly bearish in the silver market. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Just going to take a look at the 30-minute chart. There's that price action that we received of late here. Have not been able to make a new high. We've come back down to settlement. Okay, settlement price here. So this could be, again, another logical location, right, where we could potentially manage our risk and not and participate in maybe a potential upside trade. Okay. So we have the low end of value here at 92.20. We have settlement here at 92.265, and we have price, at least right now, reacting away from settlement. Now we are again seeing that maybe there is some indication that we've gotten into some sort of bear side structure. Okay, but we are coming into some areas where we would expect to see some buyers. Some buyers I would expect to be somewhat interested in this area here. Looking at the volume delta, it seems like for the most part, the volume that we've been receiving has been to the downside, although we're starting to see a little bit of volume come in to the buy side here, right around settlement. Now, I don't know if that's, bearish traders closing their bearish trades, or whether that's bullish participants starting to see or show that they have some interest here at the settlement. Okay. Taking a look at the fixed range volume profile, just kind of compare where price is in relation to Friday's price action here. Okay, so we'll go back to I think I did not do this on for gold, but we'll do this for silver, and we'll go ahead and drag this across. Okay, here. Okay, you can see that we're back inside the value range, not only on the visible range, but the range that was established on Friday. So a little bit more weakness, a little bit more range kind of price action that we're seeing, a lot more in the way of overlapping price. Right now, we seem to be stuck in a range between 97 and 92.20 seems to be the range that we're in at the moment. Yeah, balanced range kind of price action is kind of what we're witnessing right now. So I would say that as we actually, let's take a peek here at the initial balance ranges across the various sessions leading up to this. We'll start off with the Asia session, okay, and see. All right, so Asia offered us a little bit of pretty much range price action. We initially took a peek below, and rallied to the other side of the initial balance range. Came into London, and London was not necessarily aligned with the general direction that Asia was able to take it, and they've rotated the price in the other direction. So again, further evidence that we are in some sort of range here at the moment in the silver market. Okay. A little bit. So silver. I'm going to go in with more of a neutral rating on the silver. I would say that my attention is going to be focused in on around the 92 level to the buy side, and I would say 97-ish to the sell side are my two levels. Okay, so it'll be interesting how price reacts should it approach this 93 level. Okay, it's already at that 90. We've already kind of gotten some reaction away from 93. And if we are able to get above the 90 MA and get above our VWAP, that could offer us maybe a higher low that would lead us to maybe some price action that would lead higher. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead with the neutral rating here at this point. I've seen both. I've seen sessions, both sessions lower, back to high, back to low is kind of, so again, range kind of price action currently that we're seeing in the silver market. All right. Taking a look here at starting off to take a look at the crude oil market here. So looking at the crude oil market, we'll start off with the daily chart. Looking at the daily, we received our gap here as a result of the events over the weekend here. So obviously that created some questions in people's minds about the availability of oil. Okay, and that resulted in price opening up to the 75 level, creating a rather large gap from Friday, right? So from 75 to a close of 67, that's an 8-point gap that was created at the start of the session, or at the start of the week here. Okay, daily chart up until that point was starting to develop or give us maybe some signs that the market wanted to head higher. We were beginning to create higher highs and higher lows in this market. Now we've received a catalyst here, okay, a little bit of a catalyst to cause price to even move higher here, okay? So daily chart looking a bit more bullish than we've maybe seen crude oil of late. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see that we're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance range here for a moment, because it looks like the market is about to open here. Looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see that price with that gap has created our value zone here at 67. 67, I would expect to be an area of some support. We did make an attempt to try to close this gap. We did not close the gap in its entirety. I would expect that at some point in the future that we will close that gap. So we will come and retest this 67 level. And that could offer us maybe a location for further price action or further price to continue to the upside. Okay, that would be my logical place there. Okay, so looking at the 30-minute chart, where we seem to have kind of started to consolidate here a little bit, kind of creating a little bit of a triangle pattern. You can see on this chart. So we'll go ahead and kind of demonstrate kind of what I'm seeing right now. There's our top end of the triangle pattern. There's our bottom end of the triangle pattern. So we had an impulsive move here to the upside. So maybe we are building some momentum here to maybe for further upside, gather some more participants to the bullish side to continue to drive price higher here. Okay. Looking at the DMI, you can see that the DMI has kind of collapsed here a little bit, overlapping. So indicating that we've seemed to moved into some sort of range here at the moment. The volume delta not really giving us any indication as to which direction they want to take this. Okay, so I would say that if I'm a buyer of this market, I'd like to be a buyer at the low end of the triangle pattern. Okay, right around the 72 level would be a logical place. Maybe as low as 70.26 is kind of the other logical location. So that I'll just go ahead and mark these in green here, right? So first level interest, I would say, is probably around this area. right around this 71.70 level. That would be maybe an area. And then we have the area here at 70.50. That would be another logical area if I'm a buyer. Now, if I'm a seller in this market, we have the levels above 73.30, possibly this level here at 72.80, 73.30, 72.80 on the upper end. But I think the approach that we probably should be taking here is kind of waiting for price. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of the range. Okay, middle of this triangle pattern. So the expectation is that we will leave this range in some direction. Otherwise, we'll probably continue to stay in this range until we get some further information or further news that would cause or drive the markets in one direction or the other. Okay, so taking a look here quickly through the initial balance ranges across the sessions that here. So we'll start off with the London, well, actually the Asia session, and then we'll move our way into London. So Asia, right, was bearish early, okay, and they attempted to fill this gap, got about maybe 50% into this gap before they found some buyers, and Asia was then from that point on was relatively bullish on the crude oil market. And then taking a look at the London appears to be more in the way of neutral, a lot more in the way of overlapping price, very similar to kind of what we saw with the gold, right? We got initial push to the upside, and now we seem to be in some sort of balanced kind of price action here of late, okay? So what to make of this? Well, I would say that as we head into the session today, I'm looking at maybe bullish to range kind of price action, bullish to range kind of sentiment that I have here. I would say that if we are bullish, that we need to focus on the extremes of these ranges to participate in maybe a potential bullish move. We're starting to see. Let's take a look here at the initial balance range that's beginning to develop here in the daytime session. Okay, really narrow range here that's establishing in the crude oil market. Okay, so it's not going to take much effort here to kind of break this range. The question is which direction is going to be. Okay, right now it feels like it wants to head lower, but I do see that there is interest here at the 71 level. All right, we were at the 71 level, had a nice little reaction away from 71, but we're not able to make a new high. Okay, we're kind of in the middle of the range again. So 71 is going to be my first peek at this and see if it offers me an opportunity for maybe a bull side trade. Otherwise, maybe focus above me. 73 seems to be an area that price has not been able to get above. So those are going to be my two locations if I'm going to participate in this. And then hopefully the initial balance. Well, I expect initial balance would give me some understanding on direction here. Okay. Should we look out for it to be unfinished business with the gap? Yeah, I would say that would be considered unfinished business. Yeah, I would expect price to maybe eventually, I don't know if that's going to happen today, but yes, this is unfinished business, right? There's price jumped from this price to this price, and we've only managed to kind of fill only a portion of this gap here. So yes, this would be considered unfinished business, right? We've left kind of a gap in the market, and the market doesn't like leaving these kinds of gaps without retesting them. The question is, when is that going to happen? Are they going to come back and retest this gap today? If so, then we have a pretty large distance here to travel. All right. Right now we are in some sort of consolidation range. Okay. So I'm going to go with a kind of I want to say neutral. I'm going to go with a neutral rating here at this point. Maybe bullish to neutral is going to be my view here. We got an initial push down after we made the highs here, filled partially of the gap, found some buyers in Asia, and now we seem to be in some sort of bullish structure here, potentially balancing or ranging up at these levels. Okay, all right. Taking a look at the like indicator here, guys. So I do see a little bit of delta between them. So I'm just going to pause here and kind of put on my marketing hat here and encourage folks to, if you find value in the analysis, then I would encourage you to hit the like button, leave a comment or two. If you're not already a subscriber, subscribe to continue to support me in providing this analysis for you on a daily basis. Okay. All right. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the equity markets. We're going to go ahead and start off with the NASDAQ. And we're going to start off with a daily chart. I was kind of doing some analysis as part of my weekly. So we've gapped to the downside, okay, in this market. A little bit of indecision here right at these levels of 24,400. But again, if I'm just looking at these set of candles here, we're starting to develop some structure that would indicate that maybe the market wants to head lower, okay? We're making lower lows and lower highs, right? Lower low, lower high, lower, not quite a lower low, probably equal high here. Okay. So right now, again, market does appear to be on the low end of that of a range, right? We seem to be in some sort of range. We have a little bit of indecision here down at these lows at 24,400. Okay. This would obviously be a logical level to see price maybe potentially reverse and continue in this range. It seems to be having some trouble to getting above 25,400 and getting below 24,400. So we're in a kind of 1,000-point range here in the moment in the NAS. Okay. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart is probably not telling us all that much different here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment, collapse this here. Again, you can see of late that we've been creating lower lows and lower highs in this market, right? We're below. I'm going to go ahead and open up my moving average ribbon here. We seem to be below a lot of the moving averages that we care about here. Okay. So we're below the 200, the 100, the 9, and working our way below VWAP here. Okay, so market appears to be in some sort of bearish structure at an area where we would expect to see some buying. Okay, not seeing any sort of aggressive buying here. Nonetheless, we see our DMI, right? We see our negative DI above our positive, and we see our ADX at the 45 range, indicating that there is a fair amount of momentum in this market to the downside. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, we're going to go ahead and collapse some of this DMI reading here. Again, you can see that we created a gap. We created a gap to the downside. We rallied back up to the 20 moving average and found some more sellers. Okay, now the question becomes, do we continue in this path, or have we come into an area, right? Well, we look to the left and we did come into an area where we've had buyers here in the past. So is this the start of maybe the bullish of a bullish swing? Okay, back to maybe some of these highs and maybe fill in this gap, maybe back to settlement. We're starting to get some indications of that, right? So right now we're in range right around the VWAP, right around the 9 EMA. If we are able to break this level, right, above, then maybe there is a possibility of price coming back to settlement up here at close to 25,000 level. Okay. And that would also fill this kind of unfinished business that we've had here on the left-hand side. Okay. So I'm going to go with, see, I'm going to take a look here at the fixed range volume profile here really quick. And I think that we'll know the answer to this question here, but we'll just confirm anyway. All right. I will go ahead and start on Friday into the close of Friday here. You can see that. So we're well below value. A lot of interest here to the bearish side in this market. If we take a look at the initial balances, actually, I feel like we maybe have reached the ADR levels down below here. And sure enough, we have. Look how nicely price reached the ADR levels and reversed away from it. Okay. We've reached a statistical level, and it offered us a nice location for price to reverse away from. So we were a little bit extended to the downside. We found some buyers. Now we're back up at a level where we could potentially expect participants to return, right? If they don't return here, well, the next logical location would be the low end of value here at 24,865. That would be another logical location for participants to come back and step into this market again to the downside. Let's take a look here at the Asia range and see what Asia was able to do with this market. They peaked above and drove price lower. Okay, a failed auction to the downside. London seems to be a little bit on the bullish side, it appears. Yes, sure enough, they are. They broke the range to the upside in this market. So I would say that anywhere between maybe the middle of this range in London, right around this 25, this would be kind of a supportive area, I would expect. Certainly the IB high at 24,600 could also be supportive if we're going to use London as kind of our area of interest here. So as long as price remains above, then I would say that we need to, kind of err on the side of the bulls. Now we still have a fair amount of structure, obviously, to the downside, and we are in an area of range. So we need to see some sort of conviction, on either direction. Right now, we are hovering above the initial balance high from the London range, and that maybe gives us an indication that maybe the market wants to head higher. Okay, there's that possibility. Or maybe we come back inside the initial balance range and come maybe to the mid-level of the initial balance range, and that offers us a location for a long. Okay, in either case, I don't have to take all that much risk. Certainly, if I wait for this mid level, right, this 24,535 level, I don't have to take all that much risk to participate in a move that could potentially reach settlement from Friday here. Okay, so we're going to go again based on the most recent price action, maybe neutral to bullish. Okay, is kind of what I'm seeing here at the moment. Assuming that we can stay above this initial balance range. Okay. If we start to creep back inside the initial balance range, then I feel like maybe the market is going to continue to the downside, right? We are technically still inside some bearish structure. We haven't really made all that much in the way of higher highs and higher lows here at the moment. But if we do, this would be kind of a first indication. If we do manage to hold above this 24,000, let's say 600 level, that could provide me maybe a location where I could potentially entertain a long. Otherwise, if we get back inside the initial balance range, then that maybe will give me evidence that it maybe wants to come back and revisit some of these lows. Okay, taking a look at the DMI. DMI is really not giving us an indication as to which direction they want to take this at the moment. Market is in some sort of range. Looking at the volume is also pretty neutral here. So market right now is balanced, right? So there's interest on both sides, right? We're getting participation on both sides of the market in this at this moment in time. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the final two markets, equities here. We'll start with the S&P. We'll take a look at the daily. Okay, and see what the daily is telling us. Again, you can see that gap down. Okay, that was created. We're going to go ahead and turn off the ADR here for a moment. All right, so we did get a gap down. We weren't able to fill that gap. We only got partially into that gap before we started to see sellers come stepping back in. Now we have a little bit in the way of an indecision candle that's developing. Okay, if we look at our DMI indicator, well, it stands to reason, given that gap to the downside, that we got a little bit of a spike in the negative DI above our positive. So that's kind of telling us that we've gotten some momentum here to the downside, and we have a relatively strong reading in that direction. Okay, so we have a reading of 34. Okay, so the slope of both our momentum as well as our negative DI is sloping to the upside, indicating that there is maybe some momentum that's coming into this market to the downside. Looking at volume is really not aligned just yet. Okay, there's not a lot of volume coming into the downside here. It's pretty neutral volume, equal volume on both sides of the market. Okay, slightly more to the downside, but we're seeing some wicks that indicate that there are buyers that are maybe potentially stepping in at the low end of this market here, right? So this level here around 67.80 does appear to be an area of some support here, right? We're getting some reaction, and it's been areas that we've found some buyers in the past. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, kind of zooming in on these daily candles. We're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance ranges. We're going to turn off our ribbons, kind of look at as minimal as we can here. You can see, right, again, if we're just looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see that we're developing some market structure that is to the downside, right? We got a push down, created a lower high, another lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So what is the 4-hour telling us? Well, the 4-hour is telling us that we are in some sort of bearish market structure. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily need to be the first one to kind of reverse this before I'm able to really kind of embrace an opportunity to the long side. I need to start to see a sequence of the opposite price action, right? I need to start to see higher highs and higher lows, not lower lows and and try to figure out where the bottom is. Okay, is structure right now seems to be to the downside. I do understand that I am coming into an area where I have seen buyers in the past, so this would be a logical place to see or find some buyers in the market. The question is, are they stepping in into this? That's the question. Are we seeing reactions in this area that would indicate that maybe there is some aggressive buying taking place at this moment? My short answer is no, not right now. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, looking at the 30-minute chart again, you see that the gap that was left with the open for this week, we managed to retrace 50% of that, right? And then we resumed our downside move. Now we're back at VWAP. Are we going to resume our downside? Well, that's kind of what is appearing. We got a bearish engulfing candle that's establishing here at the at VWAP and the 9 EMA, kind of giving us an indication here that maybe there is maybe at least a market that could take us back to the lows here from current levels of 68.04. That's kind of what I'm seeing here on the ES. DMI really not giving us any indication here as to which direction. Even the negative DI is not above the positive. So we're seeing maybe that there is a little bit of interest that's coming in here on the bullish side. Volume delta slightly negative, okay, but the volume is not picking up as price is moving lower. Okay, so that's obviously not aligned with kind of the price action that we're seeing here at the moment. If I open up my ADX, well, I think similar to what we saw in the Nasdaq, right? We reached this 80 ADR level here. Okay, we got to the ADR low, average daily range low, and we reacted away from it. All right. Now the question is, did we react away from it to come back to a value area to see more downside? Well, that's what it appears to be. Okay, that's what it looks like to me. Okay, so let's see. Take a quick peek here at our initial balance, but I think across the various sessions. So here's London. London is slightly bullish. Okay, managed to cross above the initial balance zone to the upside, and then Asia was to the downside. Okay, nice move in Asia to the downside. Managed to get back inside the balance range, rotated back to the other side of the range. And again, what did we find? Well, so far we found some sellers. The question now becomes: do we continue? Do we continue in the path of least resistance? And I would say the path of least resistance right now, to me, seems to be to the downside. Okay, so I'm going to give it, the kind of a neutral to neutral rating. I know that we are looking at the initial balance ranges. I need maybe a little bit more evidence here. Okay, I want to see price maybe make its way back inside the initial balance range for London. And then maybe we see a rotation all the way to the other side of the initial balance range, all the way down to 67.70. Until that happens, I'm always kind of leery or weary of the fact that maybe buyers or step in here at the 6,800 level. Okay, I would say that the 6,800 level is relatively important in this market. If it's able to hold that, maybe we do get a leg back to the upside in this market. If we do close back inside the range, I think we have a reasonable opportunity to maybe retest the lows that were established so far in the day session. Okay. All right, let's take a look here at the final market, and that is the Dow, before we summarize kind of our view across all the markets. Taking a look at the daily, again, same scenario here. We got a gap to the downside, developing a little bit in the way of an indecision candle in an area where we would otherwise find support here around this 48,250 level. A little bit of an indecision candle. We did attempt to close the gap that was created as a result of this move, as a result of the open. We were not successful. So this 49,000 level, I think, will continue to be an area where it could attract price and fill this gap that was created by this by the open here. We are at a level of support. We're at the low end of value, so this might be an area where we could see buyers potentially kind of step into this market. It has been an area of support in the past, right? We see here and here. This area has held before. Now, if we do manage to break below, well, then you can see that we have areas here, pockets that were 47,615, maybe as low as 46,000 as possible destinations for this move. Okay. So right now, I would say this is a relatively important area for the bulls to hold. Okay. If bulls are not able to hold this level, then I think there's a reasonable chance that market will continue and revisit some of these areas below. Low end of value at 47,600, maybe as low as 46,000 is kind of what I'm seeing kind of developing in the Dow. All right, taking a look at the 4-hour chart, kind of zooming in on these daily candles here. Let's go ahead and collapse this. I'm actually going to turn off initial balance. Again, just if we're just looking at the recent price actions, okay, we create lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, so maybe we're kind of in for maybe another. Maybe we booked a low. Maybe we rally up to the edge of the value range from the visible range volume profile before we proceed with our kind of bearish structure that we've been in of late. Okay, so 4-hour does appear to be somewhat bearish. Our DMI is also indicating as such. Our negative DI is above our positive and kind of diverging, indicating that we're in maybe a fair trend here to the downside. Our volume delta, we have net 700 or so more sell market orders than buy market orders. So that's an indication that there's, again, continued interest in the downside in this market. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart, looking at the 30-minute chart, kind of zooming in on these candles here. Again, there's our bearish structure that we've been in. We are developing a little bit in the way of some bearish price action here of late. We have a, oops, did I mean to do that? I didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to get rid of the visible range volume profile. I wanted to get rid of this. Okay, so we had a bearish candle close, and now we have a continuation candle that's driving price to the downside. Can we come back to the lows of the market? Absolutely. Okay, I could easily see us come back to the lows of the market. Okay, assuming that we can obviously close below some of this structure here. Okay, let's see. I wanted to take a look here at the fixed range volume profile, but I think I know the answer to that question. Let's go ahead and confirm nonetheless. So we're going to go ahead. Oops, that's not what I want to do here. Here and here to here. Okay, right about there. All right, so there you are. Okay, well below value. Okay, again, this area above could serve as an area for maybe resistance in the future. Okay, maybe not at this moment in time, but I would expect that this 48,820 level that could serve as an area of resistance at some point in the future here. Okay. Let's take a look. I think we're also at this ADR low here and in the Dow. There, sure enough, we didn't even make it down there before we reversed away from it. And then let's open up the initial balance range for London. We are above that range. Okay. So same viewpoint here, guys. As long as price remains above, then I can hold out the hope that maybe we can come back to maybe some of these highs here. Okay. Maybe fill in the gap that was left in the open of this session. So I would say that this level here at say 48,000, say 375, okay, is relatively important. I think if we are going to hold any semblance of any sort of idea that the market wants to head higher, if we do not react away from this level, then I would say that there's a reasonable chance that we will rotate all the way down to the low of the session, or the low of the day. Okay, is that's kind of what I'm seeing. So again, I'm going to go with again more of a neutral rating here on the Dow, similar to kind of what we've been seeing. I think I need to see a little bit more evidence. I'd like to see if I'm going to remain maybe with the thought of maybe a bullish trade. I'd like to see kind of what kind of reaction I get away from 48,375. If price does come back inside this initial balance range, then it would not surprise me in the least if we rotate all the way to the other side of the range. Okay. All right. Let's take one final pass across all the markets here, starting with the gold market. Looks like gold is kind of selling off here a little bit up at these highs. I don't know if this is related to some sort of news event, but we are seeing a little bit of a sell-off taking place here in the gold. Kind of curious to see what caused this sell-off to take place here. Okay, let's see initial balance here. I'll turn this on for US. Okay, so up until that point, we were in a market that maybe was looking to move to the upside. Looks like maybe we are looking to fill this gap that was created on the open of this session. So we'll be curious to see how price reacts away around this 5,300 level. Okay, 5,300 level is kind of the next logical place for price. I'm just kind of curious to see what caused this. So right now, maybe a market that's kind of maybe moved, still broken some structure here to the downside now, assuming that we can close this candle below. So maybe a market that's now moved to maybe a little bit bearish. Okay. Coming into this area could offer us maybe a location where we fill in the gap, and that offers us maybe a location to participate in the long trade. Up until that point, I was probably more on the camp of longs than short, but now with this candle, that's kind of changed things a bit. Okay, taking a look at silver. Silver was already kind of a little bit more bearish than the gold, and again, we get this follow through candle here to the downside. It was having some trouble getting above that 97 level that we spoke of. Now we've broken below this 93 level that we thought was going to be the bottom of the range, and now we're down at some at lower levels here. Okay, so a bit of aggressive selling that has come into the market. Now the question is, how do we participate in this? We'll have to see how this current candle closes, and maybe the areas that we left could offer us again, 93, now that was maybe a prior area of support, could potentially be an area of some sort of resistance. Okay, so market is kind of changing on us here a little bit. All right, crude oil. Let's take one final look at crude oil. Crude oil continues to be in some sort of range here. Okay, so kind of ranging up at these upper levels. We'll just, and maybe slightly bearish. Okay. Neutral to bearish is probably kind of what I'm looking at right now, given the recent price action that I'm seeing. But we'll go with more of a neutral rating at this point in the crude oil market. It seems like they're digesting the idea of maybe the possibility of higher prices in the crude oil. Is kind of what it's feeling like to me. And then the Nasdaq, here we are. Again, we're at some areas here that could cause price to maybe potentially rally. Market just opened. Okay, just opened. Price is below our VWAP, slightly above, pretty flat 9 EMA. So I think we had the London market right at these levels below here. So if price remains above this 24,545, I would say that maybe there is a chance that we could maybe potentially bounce higher. If we get below that level, certainly if we break below this low, then that would also give us maybe some evidence that maybe the market wants to head lower. Same is true in the ES. I would say similar kind of thing where we are in some sort of range. Looks like it is trying to maybe move higher. We are above the London initial balance range. So that could maybe be the beginnings of maybe a market that maybe wants to revisit the settlement price that was established. That would also fill in the gap that was created by the open that we had today. Okay. And then last but not least, the Dow, similar. Okay. Also giving us some indication maybe that it wants to rally from here. Okay. With that sell off in gold, maybe there is a move into the equity markets. I find that hard to believe, but it is what it is. Right now, we are seeing maybe some evidence that maybe they want to take the market higher. And then we have some visual targets above here at settlement that could offer us some maybe targets to price. Okay. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So looking maybe a bit more bearish on the metals, neutral on the crude oil, and maybe neutral to bullish on the equity markets as I speak. Okay. So we'll go ahead and close this session as we close most sessions. And that is trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Have an excellent day trading, guys, and we'll talk again tomorrow.